Hi everyone, welcome and thank you for joining us for this 11th installment of Talking VoIP with Datagate, where we go on a learning journey of subjects related to VoIP, UCaaS and telecom services from the perspective of MSPs and telecom service providers. I'm Mark Loveys, CEO of Datagate Telecom Billing, and in today's episode, Infrastructure Bill and Subsidy Opportunities for Telecom Service Providers, our guests are Joe Solana and Matt LaHood, who are Telecommunications Specialist Principals of CLA, CliftonLarsonAllen, who are the 8th largest accounting firm in the United States, and their focus is on telecom service providers and MSPs. So Matt and Joe were previously the founders and principals of GSA, a specialist telecom tax and compliance consultancy who merged with CLA in November 2020. And Matt and Joe and their team have been trusted partners of Datagate and Datagate's clients for many years now. And they're always known to be at the cutting edge of what's happening. They're up to date with lots of exciting opportunities, and they have come to talk with us today. Joe and Matt, welcome and thank you for joining us. Please could you introduce the subject of the great subsidy opportunities for MSPs, and maybe introduce yourselves as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk to all of the great partners that you have, and we're excited to be part of this with Datagate. Datagate is a great partner of, as you said, formerly GSA and now CLA. And so I'm Joe Solana. I'm a principal in the telecommunications sector of CLA now. My former partner and founder of GSA, Matt LaHood, is the managing principal for the telecommunications industry at CLA. And we're here to talk specifically about the new infrastructure bill that was just passed in November of 2021, and all the exciting opportunities for carriers that want to enter into an industry that has to do with infrastructure on the broadband sector specifically, and what those opportunities are. So Matt, would you like to say something?
Yeah, it's great to be here, Mark. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk to not only your clients, but our clients, mutual clients who may not even know that there is a subsidy that they can easily take advantage of if they put their mind to it and their industry muscle in their markets, where consumers are getting subsidized and looking for that right carrier to provide that service with the subsidy in mind.
Thanks, Matt. So let's talk a little bit about a high level of what we're going to want to discuss and present to you, everyone here today. So as you all know, you're all in telecom. So, you know, there's a lot of industry challenges and there's a lot of opportunities. And this new infrastructure bill proposes a tremendous amount of opportunities for carriers that exist today that are already carriers, and any carrier that wants to enter into the market. So the Fed is committed to a huge amount of money to support infrastructure, not just in the telecommunications side, but in any other sectors that are out there, cybersecurity, et cetera. From the telecom perspective, the amount of money that's being thrown into the arena that you can take advantage of is huge, but it's an evolving market because it's looking to change how you'll do business if you want to do business with the federal government. So really what's happening is the Fed saying, we now want to be a partner with the carriers to support change within the US and spread broadband and build infrastructure. Most of the major companies, the major carriers and the network operators are looking for the resellers and other carriers to really promote this product. It's similar to when the major carriers started the Lifeline market. They looked at it as an opportunity to spread their customer base without having to go out and do all the work, right? Let's let all the resellers come in and compete and go out there and do the heavy lifting for us. So that's really what this bill is about. It's allowing that competition to take place. And if any of you heard President Biden speaking, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, one of his comments about inflation and about prices was about competition. He believes that competition is the way to go, and this bill is all about promoting that competition. So I think that as we go through this, you'll see that there's a lot of requirements in there. There's a lot of complexity, a lot of compliance, but I think we can walk you through it and foster some thought for you.
Yeah, and we're running through that. Going to run through that pretty quickly, but don't hesitate to reach out to to us after this event to get further details. We'd love to talk to you about it and how it can impact your business. But just always know that we're always focused at CLA on telecommunications evolution, and we're always focused on the event horizon of telecommunications. We're already looking at the metaverse and how that's going to impact your business. We also know that major network operators are pushing down competition, and we're constantly in contact with those major network operators, especially on the infrastructure bill. And this complexity in telecommunications is only perhaps going to get greater for all of us, but take heed in knowing that CLA is focused on advancing our coverage of your compliance as we go through this. So Joe, I'm going to move on to your presentation.
Thanks. So the infrastructure bill covers 4 major areas that are related to the telecommunications industry. First and foremost, it's $65 billion, a huge amount of money, but in the grand scheme of things for the bill, if you know how much the trillions of dollars are there, it really isn't that much, right? So, but in essence, what they're trying to do is they're trying to push dollars down to carriers to put infrastructure in place. And the first 3 items that are on there that are listed are really focused on just that fact. So 2 things are going to happen that's a little bit different for carriers that have participated in receiving money from USAC, is that USAC is no longer going to be the agency who's managing this process. So they're switching agencies to manage the process. And then they're going to be pushing these dollars down to the states. So what's going to happen is in most of these grants programs, the state will be applying for the money from the Fed. The Fed will send the money to the state, and then the carrier has to apply to the state. And the reason why they're doing that is they want the states to manage where is this broadband infrastructure going to be put in place. We don't want it just going willy-nilly, right? We want it to go into specific areas that really need it. So that's the first piece of it. The second piece of it is the middle mile broadband infrastructure funding. It's not a lot of money. It's $1 billion, and in the grand scheme of things, right? But what they're focusing on there is not connectivity to support the consumers, but connectivity to support other carriers. So what they want carriers to do is help some other carrier get connected, help some other carrier get connected to a network that can support as well. So it also fosters that competition. The competitive grant programs for digital equity, the $2.75 billion is related to providing infrastructure to areas or businesses that are generally not being allowed to have access for diversity reasons. So it's a little vague, but it picks up things like nursing homes, libraries, private schools that are not covered under some of the programs. So that plan again would be something that you would file for the grant from the state. So, but all 3 of those are grant type applications. The last one, number 4, is the one I think we want to talk most about because it offers the easiest entry for those of you listening today, and that's the Broadband Affordability Fund, $14 billion. This is similar if you're familiar with the Lifeline program in telecom side for voice. It's working the same way. It's providing service and subsidies to provide broadband connectivity to low-income areas, underserved areas, and they're doing that through the same type of process as the Lifeline plan. That one will be administered by USAC, just like the old Lifeline program for voice. So from our perspective for CLA, we can help carriers in a lot of different ways. If they're interested in the first 1 or 2 or 3 items there, we can help with the grant process, the grant writing, grant application, and the grant management. Most importantly is the second point, which is managing the required compliance and reporting. Just like most other Lifeline programs or programs where you're receiving money from the Fed, there's a lot of compliance to prove that you are actually doing what you said you would do with the money that you receive. The last piece is the audits. As in the original Lifeline program, there was a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse, and there is going to be a lot of audits. They will definitely be auditing everyone at least once a year just to be sure they're in compliance. In some cases, they can audit you more if they feel like you're doing something wrong. The last piece is if you're not familiar with the original Lifeline program, the Fed created the NLAD, which is the National Lifeline Accountability Database, where clients pre-qualify with the Fed, consumers pre-qualify with the Fed to receive Lifeline support. And CLA can help with writing apps and writing those connectivities to be sure that you are going to be in compliance. So we at CLA are all about the compliance, making sure you do it right, get in the program, and stay compliant to be successful.
Excellent. So, Joe, just one question. So, presumably, you'd be able to help telecom service providers to identify, whether a situation is going to meet this kind of funding or not. I guess that would be the, interpretation. Is this customer likely to be covered by it?
Correct. So, one of the things that has to be done is the consumer can go out on their own and pre-qualify through the NLAD, through the Fed. Or you can do outreach where you actually can go to an apartment building and say, I'm going to light this building up, and go door to door, and using an app that we can help design to get accessibility to that database, qualify the consumer at that point.
Excellent. Thank you.
So we're going to look a little bit at the distribution of the funds here. I think, again, we've talked about most of these already, so I think we can kind of go beyond that one, Matt, and that way we can focus on the next slide, talking a little bit more about, I think, what most everybody's interested in. So number 4, the broadband affordability. This is the one that I think is going to be most easiest for everyone to gain entry to, because everyone on this call is already a carrier, presumably, and that's one of the requirements, that you've been a carrier in providing service, so that helps. But essentially what we're doing is we're converting what used to be called the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program, which was put in place, I believe, 3 years ago. And it was basically to help support low-income people gain access to broadband. It was somewhat of a test program to see how it went. It's going to be converted into what's called the ACP, the Affordable Connectivity Program. And that Affordable Connectivity Program isn't really going to change the benefits. It's essentially still going to be a $30 per month subsidy for a qualified household. So basically that means a household, one consumer of the household who goes and gets qualified in that NLAD database. And it's the goal of it is to create as much activity in broadband, to spread that infrastructure out there and get everybody connected so that everyone can be part of the broadband infrastructure program. Now, part of what's going to happen is, as a provider, there's going to be certain requirements on what you provide to them, how much service you provide, how much data upload, download speeds, and data loads that you're allowed to give them. In addition, you're going to have to change some of the way you do business with the client. So if you're already providing broadband, there's going to be a little bit more requirements on how you advertise and how you provide that service to the client. But the idea behind it is that there's got to be less, and we use the word discrimination here, but less refusal to do business in areas that were lower income, and put them all more on an even footing.
Right.
The transition is going to happen right away. It's already in place. So technically, the original program was ending December 31st, and carriers who are already participating in the original EBB program have 60 days to transition. So by March 1st, you have to transition to the ACP, which means transition to the new rules and some of the changes of the rules, the compliance, the reporting, et cetera. So they expanded a little bit of what was going on. So we still have a $30 benefit that the clients or your consumers are allowed to get, but they're also allowed to get some subsidies to buy equipment. So for example, you can see they're allowed to get $75. I'm sorry, $75 is a subsidy for the travel lands. Sorry about that. You're allowed to get a $100 one-time amount to purchase a laptop, computer, tablet, or whatever, but they do have to contribute. So they still have to be contributing to it. So they don't get it technically for free, which, if for those of us that remember the free model of the Voice Lifeline, where you basically gave them a free phone and they contributed nothing. So in this case, they do have to contribute something towards the purchase price. So what they're doing in this plan now is they're saying, connect the consumer, give them a subsidy, but also give them the opportunity to have a device to connect, right? So if you're already a Lifeline provider, it's a great opportunity for you. Or if you're already providing wireless, it's a great opportunity, because you could actually convert a client that you have today that's getting traditional wireless to Lifeline wireless and the EBB program, and they would get 2 subsidies at that point. Right. So it's really a lot of opportunities, a lot of greenfield for your clients that or potential clients that you can reach out to.
Excellent.
Joe, maybe speak a little bit about what are the minimum requirements for a typical voice over IP reseller in order to obtain these funds in the form of licenses or registrations.
Sure. So there are two paths to becoming a recipient of these funds, or become an authorized provider, which is called an ETC, an eligible telecommunications carrier. If you are already participating in a Lifeline program in a state that has a voice Lifeline service, and you have an ETC already in the state, you get to do what's called streamlined application at the Fed, which is a 30-day process. So you provide them your application, provide them a copy of your current ETC, and you automatically get to become an ETC at the Fed and start to sign up consumers for the Broadband Lifeline program. If you do not have in any state designation today, then you cannot go streamline. You have to go to the Fed and apply for an ETC at the Fed level, which requires, if you're not facilities based, to produce a compliance plan and do a lot of work. So I think we haven't decided yet if we're going to advise our clients that it might be easier to get a state ETC somewhere and then do streamline at the Fed, because we all know how complicated the Fed can be. But those are the two paths that you have. You either get to go streamline or you don't get to go streamline.
And if anybody's listening today, we have the resources, and Joe Solana and myself are fielding calls from all of our clients and other professional services firms' clients on what direction they should go. So if you'd like to seek a consultation, even if it's a 15 to 30-minute call, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. You know, Joe, one of the other things that might be good to know is really who qualifies for this benefit from the consumer side, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. So this slide will list out for us all of the potential qualifications that you can have to participate. And you can see it's a pretty extensive list. And what's interesting about this list, it talks very specifically about, income levels, participation in some of the WIC programs or programs like that, participation in free lunch programs, free breakfast programs for school. And then of course there's the tribal programs, which has a different subsidy. Even if you get a federal Pell Grant, that's an interesting one. So if you're getting funds for school, you can qualify. But the one that I like the best is the last one, which basically says you meet the eligibility requirements for a participating provider to say that you should be part of the program. So it's kind of like that's a catch-all at the end. If you don't really have any of these other ones, if the provider says, yeah, I think they meet the qualifications, they get to be part of the program. So I've never really understood that one because it's so vague that they do it. But essentially, this is very similar to the original Voice Lifeline program. I think that you're going to find it's the reason why they have these requirements for the broadband is because it is specifically targeting low and underserved areas that are not getting high-speed broadband right now. Mm-hmm. And then, by the way, this is part of what that NLAD is going to do. So the consumer goes on their own, or you're doing outreaches and you're logging into NLAD and providing the documentation that's needed for the Fed to say, yes, that person can participate. Once you have that, you're golden. You can serve that consumer for as long as they want to still be your customer, and as long as they qualify every year again. So right. they have to qualify annually.
And I think something important for those of us that have been around the Lifeline programs from the early 2000s to now is that it's surprising and refreshing to know that the federal government actually has made it easier for a participating carrier to receive these funds rather than harder, like so many times we see things going with state and federal governments. In this particular instance, now the consumers have a more streamlined process to go and get their certificated reimbursement, and they are seeking out carriers, right, Joe? I mean, we've been on many calls in the last 2 months from carriers who have been in the EBB program who are now adding voice and other services because, quite frankly, people are walking into their doors and demanding that they provide additional support for a grant that they've already, a recipient funds contribution they've already received by the federal government. Am I right?
That's correct. Again, for those of us who've been around telecom for more than 10 years, when the original Lifeline program started for voice, it was the same thing. It was, greenfield, sign people up. We want people in the program. We've got all this money. And by the way, most of this money that you see in this bill has specific requirements that it has to be spent by a certain time. So other than the EBB, which is a continuing program that they will continue to fund, because that's one thing I didn't mention, the ACP is making the EBB permanent. It's now a permanent program, not an emergency program. So they want consumers to get this money. They want the carriers to get the money and spend it. So, how often does that happen? Please take this money and do it. So,
yeah. We recently worked with a client of ours in the telecommunications industry that was a service provider to MSPs, providing SIM-based tablets and data plans. And they've created a whole business model around this program, now becoming their own recipient of funds, and their business has skyrocketed because they leveraged their unique relationship to their market space and took advantage of this. So I encourage everybody who has an interest in this to seek out the answers, whether it be from CLA or anybody else.
Right.
Joe,
and
you
it's
want
a
to finish
perfect.
up?
Yeah, and I was just to add to that real quick. It is a perfect opportunity for Datagate clients because being able to tie the broadband voice services in also into this is perfectly allowable, and it's a great opportunity. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to go and join this and just try to provide broadband services, but I think your clients at Datagate are more positioned to be competitive because they have other services they can tie into it at the same time. So it's a great opportunity.
It's a great point. Yeah, I think that this is an exciting opportunity. I mean, all the spin-offs from broadband is really just the start, isn't it? And
yeah,
it's
it is
exciting. Thank you.
Yeah. So just to wrap it up, and then I'll hand it back off to you, Mark or Matt. Is again just to point out these are the things that CLA can help you with to get through this. If you're interested in the grant writing and those first 3 bullet points we talked about, we can help manage all of that for you and prepare the applications and prepare the grants and prepare the submissions. We can help you with the forms to collect funds in the EBB program because there's a certain form you have to file to collect the money that you receive for those subsidies. We can, again, manage the audits and help you with the NLAD support and the technology around that. So, let us know how we can help, and we're more than happy to.
Excellent. Well, Joe and Matt, thank you very much. This is a very, very interesting subject, and certainly I've learned a lot today from this. Just thinking, while we have you on our show, I invite you to maybe tell us a bit more about CLA, the services you offer, particularly to the MSPs and telecom service providers who are our clients, and yeah, a little bit more about your offering. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Mark. I'll jump to a couple extra slides then. Appreciate the extra time, and again, I want to say that I appreciate all that you do for our mutual clients and end users of your platform and the tax content that you so carefully manage through your system to help our customers navigate tax optimization. CLA does many things for their clients. You can imagine a company with 130 offices across the United States and over 8,000 personnel that are solely devoted to assisting our customers in all tax needs, whether that be domestic or international, all the way down to strictly to telecom. So we at CLA, and especially at the telecom consulting practice, can support federal state regulatory compliance as well as tax compliance. So we are governed by public utility commissions as well as the departments of revenue of all states and territories. And CLA has a very comprehensive package that is, quite frankly, fully integrated into Datagate. And so we're excited about that. It streamlines the process, makes it cost effective for everybody. We can augment the back office. We have over 900 staff at CLA distributed all across the United States that can actually fulfill a role in finance, accounting, and even perform the duties like a controller or just a bookkeeper, where our customers may be incapable of finding the right personnel, or the work is just too limited to be a full-time job. So we have this staff augmentation with individuals that are all CPAs with an average of 15 years experience, and they're all W-2s for CLA. And the quality of service that we provide to our telecom customers is amazing. And CLA can provide professional engagements to streamline the back office. You know, Datagate is integrated with QuickBooks and other financial packages. But there are other systems that are involved in the business, right? And so CLA has a project management team and digital transformation team that can actually streamline, document, and then hand back a more simplified process for our customers for whatever it is. Anybody who's got a commission program outside of the billing platform that they're managing on flat files and spreadsheets, we can help automate that. We have business intelligence specialists. We have data transformation team members for getting data flowing where you might be swivel chairing and manually copying and pasting information. So we streamline the back office. We work to reduce federal tax exposure for our customers. And we've already been on a webinar with you in the past, and I'd love to do it again. You know, nearly every one of our customers pays taxes at the end of the year because it's so profitable to be an MSP. And, you know, if you pay taxes to the federal government and you have not fully looked into, or you're not satisfied with your own CPA's effort towards you getting a R&D tax credit, just know that at CLA, knock on wood, I have had 100% success with our clients. We have, I should say. We are a we organization here at CLA, and we have a whole host of team members that focus just on helping our customers get credits back. And not only for this fiscal year, not only for this tax year, but we can go 3 years back and go capture those and get a check back from the IRS to you. If you've paid taxes and you haven't taken advantage of R&D tax credits, you should be contacting us right away. For our clients that are listening, we offer that free of charge. We'll do a first analysis and determine whether or not you qualify. You don't have to pay anything to know you're going to get money. So, and as a special offer to our Datagate partnered customers, meaning your customers, will offer that free of charge to yours as well. CLA has expertise to manage and transform the telecom, transform MSPs to become telecom, and assist in getting these ETC programs up and running. We have several going on right now. It's very exciting, especially if you have a wireless focus. It's very interesting for MSPs that have a wireless data backup program and how they may be able to leverage all that infrastructure for this ETC program. One last thing. There's a heck of a lot of deals going on, mergers and acquisitions and roll-ups. And throughout the year, you may find that we'll be inviting folks to seminars in 3 dimensions, meaning person to person in certain markets throughout our United States footprint, where we'll be inviting MSPs to meet our deal group to help understand how you can better prepare your company for sale, how you can better present your company to a financial institution for a lending facility, and put your best foot forward financially so that you can gain funds available for purchase or expansion of your business. And then finally, how to prepare you and your asset for sale. And we have an organization that is a brokerage. We have very unique relationships with our customers on our brokerage. And so if you are interested in any of those services that we sell seamlessly, I encourage you to reach out to us. Joe and myself love to talk about anything and everything that CLA can do. Finally, what's really known in the marketplace is we file tax returns, and we do it systematically. We have a mostly robotic process here at CLA where we tap right into Datagate and the reporting engine that they have, and we file returns anywhere from 5 a month all the way up to 1,500 a month for our customers. We do many other services like exemption management, exemption fulfillment. So there's almost nothing that you can't talk to us about that might be a sticking in your craw. So, Mark, I want to thank you for letting me take a few more minutes and talking about the broader services that we offer. I'm really excited about what's happening in our industry, and really the fact that any size company can take advantage of this infrastructure bill, reimbursement or recipient of fund services that we can offer.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Joe. Likewise, you've always been great partners to Datagate, and you look after our mutual customers so well. And I always appreciate that you're right up there with all the knowledge and expertise that helps them so much.
Can I mention one last thing? Mark?
Sure,
you know, we just tabulated out of our systems. We track how much money we save our customers in a whole host of ways. This is just from Datagate and the tax rating engine and all the taxes we pay. We saved our customers over $4 million of what they would have paid to the governments just last year. And so we take pride in that. I forgot to mention that, but thank you. And thank you all for listening. Joe, thank you for all the work you're doing on the infrastructure bill. And back to you,
My
Mark.
pleasure.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. And we've got the contact details here. And we'll, if you have any further questions for Matt or Joe, you can contact them here as well. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us. May the VoIP be with you.
I like that.